This is day 225 of the Arukh HaShulchan OC. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming share of the Arukh HaShulchan OC or more, it would be greatly appreciated. Today we're supposed to do from Simon Kuf Test, Simon Chav Zayin, Simon Kuf Test, Lamdal, but without noticing last night, I did Chav Zayin yesterday. So today we're going to start actually from Chav Ches, and Chav Zayin is at the end of yesterday's recording. I apologize for that. And so before we start, my shutav Nico Berger posted this picture of pictures of his titrus, which he spoke about in the Arukh HaShulchan yesterday. And titrus had holes on the bottom, as you can see from the middle diagram. Those are the holes from the bottom. Those little holes, which look like holes. And it wasn't look like a shower head, but rather looked like a more like an oval, whatever you call it. And the finger was held on a little hole on the ring at the top, as you can see in the pictures here on the left side. Well, on the right side, from my perspective. Whatever, dark pictures. And that finger is on and off the hole, and that's how it worked. Okay, Sif Chav Ches. This is all talking about water coming on your hands. How about you dunked your hands into the pipe, which brings the water. B'cholinyan and low so it doesn't work. Because they are drawn waters. And the kli is connected to drawn waters in this case. Means that they're drawn and not a maya, not a mikveh where you can play with your hands. So that doesn't work. And also, the kli is attached to the ground, and kli which is lo mahani, the kli is not considered to be a proper vessel. If it's not connected, yesh poslim, some people say it's possible, kamoshi bar, as will be explained, as will be seen in line with base later on, a few minutes. That's where the person drawing the water from the canal pours into the pipe itself. Actually, it's really more of a trough than a pipe. But if you put them outside the pipe, and then puts them on the ground and then draws them kind of into the pipe, and this is and he tovels his hands in them. They're Torah. I feel like I mikveh. In terms of mikveh, kind of you're there. The shuin shim shul close some. If you had drawn water, but then you made it flow on the ground. Ksherim. Feel us mikveh. Even though we don't rely on this, we ask this by mikveh. Kol comes to the sign. The rabbanon chuyama mahani. By this time, which the rabbanon, everybody agrees that it works. The Bura says that it's possible that if you pour it into the trough with a vessel, it's puzzle. If you pour it into the trough with the puzzle keli, such as when it's perforated, it has to hold it. Even if you put your hands close to the place where the water is poured in, it's puzzle because they're not coming from the keli. So putting the water close to the place where the water's coming in only works where the keli pouring in is about keli. The Halacha talks about whether the trough can be considered like a keli karka, but that's neither here nor there evidently. Mishabura says that if the tzínor has a shem keli, then hamshacha would not be effective because there's going to be shuvim, perhaps not because of the way they got to the tzínor, but they're going to be shuvim because of the tzínor itself. And therefore tefillah would not work. The Shabura says also that there has to be 40 saw. We have in Shuva Shem Shichua, and now you have it all having flown along the ground. It has to have 40 saw. The Ikar din that through Hamshacha works is also Kula, and we're not making so far that should work without 40 saw. Also, the water has to be stationary and not flowing, just like a mikveh. It means you have to stop up the trough at the end, so the water should collect inside. Even you're drawing and putting it into the pipe itself. If the pipe, it just seems to be just the Mishnah just said, so I don't know why he had to bring it down. The Piskei Mishnah had to bring it down. But if the bucket with which you're drawing the water is perforated, behind it, because it's mashke, that would allow water in. But you show me there are people at Sinor. No, so this is not, no, sorry, this is not the case in Mishabur. I apologize. This is much more, much different. Okay, again, I feel with those, so no, it's Sinor Atzmo. Even if you are pouring into the Sinor itself, Imadli should show you above the bucket using to lift the water out of the river and pour into the trough. Nakul as a whole behind it. The Kodesh Mashka, which was enough to allow liquid in. But you show that there are people at Sinor, and while he's pouring out of the front into the trough, the Mekalech Mecharav, it's also flowing backwards, like or to the river or the Mayan or to the spring. My people the other bator, so you can tie your hands in the pipe and it's going to be torn. The Chashiv the or obviously by Mikvah we're not making all these things, but since this time is Rabbanan, it's considered since there's a flow going to the river. It's as if you're going to dunk your hands in the river itself. The nitzog zeh mechaber kli or this flow links the keli to the river. Chashim ma'ishim b'tzinor, and water in the pipe is there. We said mechubayim me'mior, connected to the waters of the river. V'avakav nitzog because the lochas yichibli and tefillah, even though it doesn't work by mikveh. Ajay connect shofer sanud unless it has an opening the size of shofer sanud, 2 fingers, being able to go around. Kamburi Yadesim Reshimalov become company until in terms of for washing Yesh Lakel. Yesh Chokim said those who argue this with Spilu hold the Gamatil Sadaim Lochashi Chibur Nitza because they hold that such a flow is also not considered to be a connection here. Father Shachatchil Yesh Achmer, it's preferable to be Machmer. Ach Be'eno Kli, when he has no other vessel, Yesh Lakel Matil Sadaim, there's Mechlim, he can be lenient according to as those who are lenient. Mishnah Berurah says on this that some people want to say that the hole, it's not enough that the hole in the back is a konis mashke. It's got to be large enough that you can see the flow. Only then it's considered connected to the waters of the Or, of the river. And according to this, the shear is the size of a lentil, which is a new shear. That's the size of a konis mashke, not the size of 2 both, but the size of a lentil. Lamed, Kos Rabbeinu Ramah, B'Sib Zayin. You can't, we shouldn't wash in those stones which are fixed to the wall, but some base kibul bars in which you made a receptacle for water and a spigot, a faucet. You can't tchila, but if they were can't before they put into the wall, it wasn't carved into the wall, but it was can't, was affixed to the wall. They connect the wall, you can wash them at Kanshal. Well, the meaning is the mechuber lab shem kli oleh. That which is connected is not considered to be a keli. Rakbatol shubasov chibro, but that's only if you made it while as attached to the ground. But it was separate. It was separate from the ground, and then you connected it to the ground or to some structure of that sort. It came with kon choisla mitchil such where as a vessel previously. Yesh lahakam mitchilas adayim. You can be lenient towards this time. The michshol ketosh is considered as if it is tosh even after it's mechubar. And those who say that it's the you make it no matter what, whether it's tolush of chibro or we made it mechubar. Ramah, but the primary halacha is like the Ramah, not like the Taz, is more lenient. Came and shaloya love shem kli b'tol klal b'tol didn't have the name of a vessel when it was not connected yet. Can't have a mechubar gomor. It's absolute mechubar. Lo mahani mimenu. Doesn't work neither to wash from a faucet, it's fixed to it, nor dunking hands into it. Even as for the 40 saw came and usher lit vila because you're not allowed to toivo in this keli, even though it's a mechubar karka. But that he says, you know what? Maybe it can be lenient in terms of tefillah. It's obviously, although it looks like a keli, it really is a part of the stone. It would seem that way. Mishnah Berurah says, that if you table your hands by one of these leniencies of connecting or pouring, and then later on you find water which allows you to be the dime properly, you should be the dime again, but now with the bracha, because according to most of us can already yotze. Mishnah wants to say that with this scenario, even where it was made affixed to the wall already, it wasn't tosh of chibra, it was mechubar, but you turn the faucet, turn it off, turn it off. That is considered ready to be like a keli, and it was effective. It's going to be called kabra, and it will be effective for until Sinai. Learn it out. Hamayim hamoshchim, shemoshchim adei kanim chalulim lemerachok. Here, this is actually a pipe. This is not a half pipe like a trough like we had before, the tzinor, but a pipe. Water which flows to a distance in pipes. Kmo rare custom. Li told me that kanim atzum bade osor. To take from the pipes themselves is definitely osor. They don't come from manpower. Sherachokim re'emet to my mind. They're very distant from the water itself. Show them osa bo, which a person puts into them. Avamutli bayada bateva. Only they kind of, but you can table hands in the box of stones, which evidently the water flowed into when it got to the end of the tube. Because since they're coming from a river and it's one continuous flow, it's as if they're connected to the river or the spring at the time that the tubes are full of water. And that's considered to be a flow. The Chashmina Chibun this time, which this time is considered to be a connection. But once the flow has to stop from the pipes, you can't table hands in the box. In other words, there's no longer water flowing through the pipes and coming into the box. Because no longer connected with the water of the river or of the spring. We told me to plump in to wash from the pump. Vade osir, it's definitely osir she'enam keli. It's not a vessel. Mishnah Berurah says that he says that the water in the pipes coming through the pipes in the box is only kosher if the water was not drawn by a bucket at the beginning, because it wasn't nimshal gabi pakarka. It's drawn by a bucket and put directly in the pipes. That doesn't work. Mishnah Berurah says that even according to those who hold you don't need kach gabra in the pump by the pumps, it's by the pipes. It's also because it's not a keli, because the tubes themselves are not considered to be a base kibble. So it's not considered to be a base kibble, so therefore it's not a keli. So if the only way it can work is if it's nitzokas kibble. Line base. If you put your hands into a vessel of water, and move your hands around to them. If the vessel is connected to the ground by law, so he doesn't work as this. If it's connected to the ground, so he doesn't have the name of Natila Ela Tvila. With Tvila like we should, we can't have Tvila with drawn water because the Yeshua Marabim saw it, even if 40 saw of water there. That's your mikvah. And then a kli tlusha, but if the kli is separate from the ground, it's not connected to the ground. Yes, some say also natila. Some people say that it works. The rak b'kior dashina mimeno only by a faucet. We say mimeno v'lo b'socho. The water has come from it and not within it. This right the rabbanon, but with this time since it's the rabbanon, have a zemin natila. This is a kind of natila. Some say that it doesn't work. Less primarily that you can't use it. That's most of us know that if the clear is karka, even as 40 saw, you can't do tefillah there. Most poskim says if you're in a pinch, Tis Rabbanim, you can lie those Matir by Tils time. It's Rabbanim. Charcha is dami lo kli mayim and kli. Later on, you have water which you can actually use a real vessel to wash. Itol yada, we should wash again. Should make a bracha. Interestingly, if it's already after a motzi. Sounds like this is a middle level b'yevet. You have b'yevet where you don't make the Tilas Naim raw. But you have it where you would still make the Tilas Naim, and times where you wouldn't make the Tilas Naim if it's after you make a motzi, but you wouldn't make the Tilas Naim if you haven't yet made a motzi. It's very interesting. Gami kodim leverech. Oh, nah, he spoils it. Not just after a motzi. Even for a motzi, you shouldn't make a bracha. Some say some say that in a case where he hasn't yet made a motzi, he can make a bracha. So Avraham Boloni, right? Arukh HaShulchan argues. Charkich yevarech im adayin kodim brichas hamotzi. No, I mean, really that wrong. Taz says that on the dunking you should make a bracha. He says no, although he didn't address this really before. He says no, on the dunking you don't make the bracha. Rather, if you get water before a motzi, then you can make a bracha then on the second washing. Kenya Ikar, and that's primary. Those who permit they only allow it when the 40 saw in the vessel. It's not true. Why did the pasuk forbid washing in the kior? Haleka sham arbaim saw. There are no 40 saw there. Ubavadai Asur. Oh, in other words, if it's less than 40, some people say that those are matter only matter in the 40 saw Keli, right? And the Arukh HaShulchan says no, because it would be a special pasuk to ask traveling in the kior, Miman of Lo B'Socho, even though the kior didn't have 40 saw in it. So must even if it doesn't have 40 saw, if not for Xeris Kosev, we would allow Tvilas Yadayim there. And it could be that Xeris Kosev only applies to the kior, not to any other thing. So therefore, those who are matir can be matir even where there's less than 40 saw. Brackets. Tasif kan yud ein sham. But it's a diktuk. It's not an inference. Yesh tamar the asay the miuti avksheisha boim sa b'kior. Not necessarily. Perhaps it comes to exclude where the 40 saw in the kior that you still can't table there. Dunk. We can't call that a roa poskim. Nevertheless, the Peter most poskim is that matir shuhu abahag. That the matir who is the bahag. B'choyam matzitir. Allowed in any circumstances. Yam shashom pasad the gam b'shas adchak ein l'smocha matir. Yam shashom says the b'shas adchak can't rely on the person who says you can dunk inside this keli. Ayin sham b'tah shas see there b'tah on yud aleph. The Mishnah Berurah says, but you're allowed to put one hand next to the ground, and with the other hand pull the pump to bring water onto your hand. This actually is going to be pretty safe. The numbers are off in the Mishnah Berurah, and I just realized some of these numbers are off. And it's talking about the end of the Arukh HaShulchan, and previous he said you can't wash from the pump, right? So he's saying that's putting your hands in the pump, right? But to work the pump, that's okay. You can put one hand next to the ground and the other hand work the pump to bring the water to him, and then switch hands. Or his friend should work the pump for him. It works because when the pump is open, the nitzok is chibor, and the flow is connected to the well inside, as if you're tumbling in the spring itself. But if you hold your hands a little bit higher than the ground, then the netilah doesn't work, because it's like you're tumbling in the waves. I'm not sure exactly how it works. I guess the pump shot out, didn't go straight down. It shot out, so they say tumbling in the waves. Nevertheless, if he has a keli, it's not kedai to be meko to use it to be naito through the flow. The Biur Halacha says where the Yamsha declares he's not sure. The Yamsha Shlema is machmir. If that's dafka with a kli where you fixed in the wall, fixed in the slug basically in the wall, and then you carved it out, or that's true about all kalim. And that really leads me to realize that before we were talking about that thing, that faucet plugged into the stone in the wall, so it's not simple mechuber, in which case tefillah might work inside the Arukh HaShulchan said tefillah doesn't work in it. Because it's talking about where you had like the slug, the raw material, you fix the wall, and then you drill the holes in it. Okay, Lam Gimel. If you have a barrel that has water and you have no vessel to draw from the barrel, there's no other person around who can pick up the barrel with the point in your hands. If it's small, put it on your knees, and pour it onto your hands. Shake it with your knees each time you need a flow to come out of it. It's called gavra. It's called gavra of the knees. The mali shows to be other or mata bracha. What does it make? Because he puts his hand or below his thighs. If it's large and it's inclined on the ground, and the water flows with it, not by rolling it, but rather rolls on its own. The nasan lo, I guess the water flows out of it, rolls on its own. The low, and you put your hand under the flow. Lo also lo netila. The netila is not effective. If there is a faucet in the hole, and you remove that, the faucet, I guess it's they remove the spigot, the hole, the stopping the spigot, and then the water flows in his hands. Turning on the faucet is considered to be manpower. As long as in every flow, Sirena takes out the stopper, put it back in. Takes that again. So the first gush is going to be manpower. Some people say the entire flow is considered to be manpower. And Ikar, the Yam Shalom is the Mako, the Magen Avraham is the Machmer. Nevertheless, if you incline a barrel full of water, and he went and sat down, and the water is pouring out, the barrel is pouring out water the entire day, because you inclined it. And he washed transfer. Also, on the tefillah, the word tefillah works. The entire day it's going to be called gavra. It's not like removing the stopper in the spigot. They have to remove it every time. That's cool. Because into a maisa there, in the mayim itself, you just remove the impediment. So therefore, you have to do it every time. But when you turn the barrel inside, you did a maisa in the water itself. So then, that's different. All the flows considered to be koach gavra. It's not comparable to what you say in Simchas Zayin, but sinor by a pipe, that pipe is not a sweet called gavra. Doesn't issue rochav because that's where it's distant already from the place where your koach had an effect. It's supposed to hear where you're right next to the barrel which you turn on side. Therefore, if you have a large barrel of ein lo keli, you have no vessel. If it's full of water, itena al sida. You should pour it on its side. You should incline it on its side. That's the time and put the water, put your hands under the hole. They'll vol of mine and they'll come on them. And that is effective for netilas yadayim. The Mishnah writes that somebody wants to be mekel b'shas adchak in terms of that leaving the faucet open, it's going to be called gavra. You should make a bracha on that, and you should also eat with his hands wrapped in a mappa. The Mishnah Berurah says also l'chatchila. Like I said, the numbers are off here. I'm not sure actually. Yeah, no, I think that's going on when he. I'm not sure why, but it seems that that's going on when he's shaking his lap in order to make the water go. That's only b'di'evet, and he shouldn't make shasatchak, and he should only make a bracha and only eat by krichas mappa. But the Arukh HaShulchan says it's okay, fine, So I'm not sure why he says it can't be such a dramatic machlekes. So maybe it is going on the case where he left the flow open the whole time. I don't know. So Bialocha says b'diavad if okay, I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, something is messed up. I'm not going to do the Mishnah on this one. But Chagim avoid the Eintzor Kavanah Tiosnaim. He says don't need Kavanah for Tiosnaim the Chulin when you do it for just the regular plain stuff. And so said Chulin Mekom Mekom Rashi B'Torah Sabais Hichner Zeh. Rashi was Machmer. They are the time with Tosefta. That which says in Tosefta. Anoto Miskaben. Somebody Miskaben Vanose a Miskaben. The one who is washing his hands as Kavanah. The person who's pouring the water doesn't have Kavanah. Or Anoto Miskaben Vanose a Miskaben or vice versa. Yod of Torah, the hands of Torah. Mashmed Yacham Entzol Chavin. So it sounds like one of the two has to have Kavanah. Hanoto Anoto Yoda. Person washing and the person who's pouring. So I have to say the Chayu Chulim Myri Marian Linia Negia. It has to do with touching Chulin and I was eating Chulin. Avakol poskim will cost came, but they no poskim were like this. They weren't concerned about Tosefta. Came to Gemara laughing because Gemara simply the simple thing seems the opposite. Oshazel Truma, maybe that's in terms of Truma. Makom Kam Levis, that's what I was saying about Shulchan Aruch. But see if you Gimel Chashishul Chatchil Divrei Rashba. They said it's preferable to be mach like the Rashba. The Zel Shoyim is what they say. The Chatchila the Yikamin and Neto Lenatila Machsher Slachila. Preferably, the Naito should have in mind that a Natila is going to make him suitable to eat. Kavanas Noising Nami Moil, and the Kavanah person who pours the water also works. Afilu Chatchila, even Chatchila, Afilu Shlo Kiben Noito Klap, even the person who's being washed didn't have Kavanah at all. Yes, so I think a little bit of a break there. There was the Chavrusa, so let me just go back again. That the Bali Shulchan Aruch said that you have to be Choshesh L'Chatchila for the Rashba, and Arukh HaShulchan ends up Yesh Mishal Choshesh Rashba for the Yeved, which is Magen Avraham Tzarech Chiyuv. Then he says in brackets, Ve'enli Sholim Ein Tzar Kavanah, Lam Pasach Zim Kufnun Ches. You don't require Kavanah. Why do we say Zim Kufnun Ches? But not the other the Bula B'Mashka when you wash your hands for a fruit which has become moist. That's why Tilas Daim Acheres Suda. You need another Tilas Daim for Suda. It's not difficult. The stam kavana is better than having kavana for something else. So kavana for fruit, that's worse than having no kavana whatsoever. Mishmur says it's best to be machmer like the Rashba l'chatchila, but that the Gra holds like those who hold that below kavana it's still kosher, and that's not the opinion of both Rishonim. And the Eved is certainly okay if you have no water to wash again. Okay. And if it has other water, wash your hands again, but don't make a bracha. And it's best, actually, interesting. I know we didn't see the Zaitza before. It's best to be metami your hands. If you go to defecate or something like that, in order to be touch mekamas hamchusim in the body, you should be mechayiv yourself in the netila, and then you can make a bracha in the second netila. Okay.